Yo, yeah, doing a design stream. Got a couple requests for this one. I've kind of been sharing out my site after launching it and had some questions about how I was doing it, questions about Webflow, questions about process. I don't know. Seems like a good balance. I've been doing all photo streams lately. Yeah, I was getting people kind of asking, I don't know, how the sausage is made, whatever that analogy is. Yeah, I'll just dive right in. So I'm not going to do full desktop. I'm trying to consolidate everything on one screen. Yeah, so this is the site I launched. Crazy response to it. I'm still overwhelmed by it. I don't know, it feels like an old school site at this point. Like, it doesn't feel like submitting it to awards. It's got no WebGL, it's got no like fancy shit going on. It's just kind of like a traditional editorial with some cheap tricks. So if you're in here and you had any specific questions about it, definitely let me know. I tried to respond to people as much as I could, but I'm kind of all over, and then after I launched it, disconnected just for a little bit to recharge. So yeah, I think it might just be valuable for me to like break down how I did some general things, and then the plan for me is to start working on some updates. And yeah, because this is never going to be finished. It's something that, like, this is a 1.0 launch. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, I'm not going to pull up so I have the app called Things, just as a checklist of shit, just to like assign dates, assign priorities, bucket things, try and create some structure. That's one thing, is like being independent, like finding a way to stay on task. Like, if you're at an agency, like the good project managers will like let you know what's coming up, where you are, what you need to get done by when, and when that's not there. And like right now, where I don't have any client work, it's just like there's no fucking deadlines whatsoever. So yeah, I'm kind of left to my own devices, and you know, it's like a kid in a candy store sometimes. So definitely recommend some sort of list and structure and accountability. I don't know. It's still not perfect, and I still find myself, like, this site was supposed to launch like 2 weeks before, but I kept finding things I didn't like, could have been done better. But yeah, so if you haven't been, johnway.studio is the website. I know it's always like shameless plugs, and I feel weird even talking about it because it's a 1.0, but I just, like, the people who've asked for this, like, I feel bad because I can't respond to everyone. So, and yeah, I want to make myself available, and I want to kind of talk about it. I'm not doing this because I think it's incredible. It's just, I don't know, people are asking about it. And I did submit it to awards, by the way, and voting just finished on it. So if you did vote, I appreciate it. Kind of blown away at the score. Again, like, I don't know, some of the shit you see on there, it's just mind-numbing. Like, I think it was submitted around the time something from Resin that's like fully immersive and like this really interesting experience, and then there's mine that's just like kind of boring. Yeah, you can click around, it's got some interesting UI elements and stuff, but it's not like, I don't know, it's nothing crazy. So it feels flat compared to a lot of this other stuff, and I think the focus here is mostly on content. Trying to, like, it's always a battle. I mean, I can show, let's see. Oh yeah, you don't see shit on this stream. Oh fuck. Wow, this is huge. Sorry, I'm like switching up stream setup. I'm trying to do everything on one display because I think something happens when I use Sidecar with my old iPad, like shit gets sideways. I think I have my sketch. Make sure this is the right size. So, bird's eye view on this shit. This is kind of how things started. Really just pulling random inspiration of like different things that I liked, pulling different characteristics from different things. I don't really have a set process for this. I do spend a lot of time on what's it called? On Pinterest. Oh god. I'm like moving things around in Streamlabs and it's going sideways on me. Oh, good thing I meant to do that. Let's see. Fuck, where is it? Yeah, so I do like Pinterest boards. It's kind of whatever. But it's just like you kind of take the genesis of little ideas and shit like that. And it's just like, I don't know, like picking and choosing. Like everything's been done, so how do you kind of amalgamate this shit into something that feels like your own? Oh, and my man, miss you too, bud. It's been a long time. Hope you're doing well, man. There's a site that's way more interesting than mine. DesignEmbrace.com. Plug it. And yeah, that project file, I could show you some, like, if that gives you anxiety, like, it's wild. Hey, I got hair, man. It's fucking bedhead extreme. Like, I went up to visit my brother, and it's like, my hair just turns into a fro, so, like, it's not professional, but, you know, whatever. Kevin, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Stoked you like it. It's always weird hearing that, but I do appreciate it. But yeah, if that project file was bad, like, let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I have like one of them archived, and so this site was built on the old site, and the old site was like, that's where I learned a lot of things about Webflow process, how to design and develop at the same time, because you can get in these like this like death roll of just like trying to design, but then the interaction doesn't feel right or it doesn't scale properly, because so much fuck, I gotta keep checking on what I'm showing. So much of it is like different things, like how does scale tech, or how does text scale? And so you start thinking about that in terms of like, it's funny, like once I used to be all about just very precise design. Like I had everything rounded off to like a 0 pixel. So it was like in tens. And I thought that made everything better, but really like and I knew this going in, like I talked to developers and talked to some and they're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, you know, get it close. Because everything's percentage based in the modern era of responsive web, like how things scale, it's never in that exact pixel place. So it's important to have grids and have structure. This is all built, I kind of cheated, I'll be honest. Largely because I discovered grids in Webflow, which I can talk at length about. The short of it is, when in doubt, use grids for all your layout. But it's like an 8-column, 12-column, and then you start adding like padding in between, and you try and keep like main alignments. This actually is a terrible example, and probably something I should fix. I started adding in a little padding off this left rail, and then that wasn't carried over to here. And ideally, you're using wrappers to try and kind of consolidate. Like every time you add padding, like it's being added. So it's like a general concept. I'm pretty sure it's like Dev 101. Like you add like a containing wrapper. Like so for me, I have most everything in a wrapper where this sort of left and right padding is just set at 4% or 4 VW, which is viewable window. So no matter how wide I go, it's always going to be 4% of the viewable window will be the padding. And it changes as you go down. Or no, it actually doesn't. It used to change. I used to add more padding on mobile. It might change. I do like mobile that still feels like kind of nice and spacious, I guess is the right word. But I think I was just getting this in a spot where I wanted to launch it, where because I'm an idiot and I don't know development all that well, I just set width to 100%. And then when you start adding padding on that, you start getting, it adds the padding onto the 100%. And then suddenly you have something that's like 108% width. And then you've got fucking horizontal scroll. And it drives you fucking crazy. Drives me crazy. And I think I don't have any at this point. I had one yesterday on the screensaver page because of the transition in, but that's a different story. Adarsh, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Stoked you like it. Yeah, feels like the site, it's not the best, but it came together where I can feel okay. It's just, designing for yourself always sucks. One thing is a pet peeve of mine is when developers scale all copy. Large titles, yes, but I like to keep my nav and body copy a fixed size. Yes. So that's something I went back and forth on. I think body copy, oh, I forgot, like if you rescale, Webflow retriggers, like, so I went past 1440, I think, or whatever the breakpoint. I went to XL, and so it resets like all the style sheets and shit, which is kind of nice. But yeah, like this body copy, I think that's set to pixel. You can pull up Webflow. So this sort of smaller stuff, and I get it, it's small font. Like I've had a lot of like UX designers tell me like, oh, that's too small, I can't read it. It's like, this is more visual, so the priority is always going to be visual, and like I'm a shit copywriter to start with. I don't really want people reading it, but I want the information available. So it's more like a visual aspect than it is like, hey, this is how you're going to learn everything about it. Like there's details to this. Not so much on like the collaborations, which is something I do want to work on. But if you get into screensavers and it gets into like longer details, like I do get into this, and this is where, so this right now, my paragraph style, what? Oh no. Shit. So z-index is another thing that'll just, like, you get into all sorts of problems. So my workaround, I can just jump in and show this real fast, is, so I have all sorts of custom code for better or worse, like customizing the lightbox, that still sucks. But all this like pointer event masking. So this lack of a background, it will still, like if have it sit on top of everything. So no matter what happens, that's going to be like over the top of everything scrolling. But all this empty space in here technically like will block any links underneath. So, so basically I have to remove the pointer events so nothing happens, and then add it to things like the container for the main nav mark. And all my like, there's apparently all these syntaxes for like properly naming things, like C is container, T is text, and it's something I did midstream, which I probably shouldn't have. But yeah, so I don't know how I ended up on that. But yeah, like this being, so this is calculated at 1.03 view width. And it's something like, I really go back and forth on it. I see the value in having fixed width. To me, the text starts looking kind of funky. Like, I don't know, I start losing control. Like, it doesn't feel as, like there's an optimal place for it. Somewhere where it's around like 16 pixel point font, whatever the fuck it is. Where like this is the sweet spot, but then you kind of have to adjust for, like, because it's up to 1440, and then once I go past 1440, I think I lock it. I don't lock it. I reset it down to smaller because it's wider, so it doesn't get too big. So it'll kind of like ramp up the size as it gets closer to whatever this XL viewport 1440 up, but then it'll kind of reset back down. And how I used to do this is I used to set max widths to everything. So if you went super wide, close that. If you go super wide, like it would just cap. And there were little things that drove me nuts with it. I don't think there should, like I have the XDR display, so like it's 32 inches. And like I started testing it with just doing this sort of thing. And like, this looks like shit. And part of me wants to go back to max width so I can kind of control that, but you know, it's all trade-offs, and you start learning to live with certain things because it's just like the alternative just sucks and it's not something you want to deal with. Let's see. Why didn't you ask a dev perhaps RSI for the website rather than doing it yourself? Yeah, why didn't I ask Ari to do this? I think the CMS tie-in, like this is something I want to have as like a live, like it's, to me, it's like the keystone of my entire brand. Like everything's going to be funneling to this site. And I think he would have been driven crazy if I had to like send him requests for updates all the time. He does a lot of front end stuff. He does some back end, but I don't think he's very interested in building like a CMS integrated sort of thing. I think a lot of his stuff it's more hard coded. I think he does back end systems tied in, but for this, like I would want this to be a fun site for him. And this is definitely not that. This is more like product focused. Ooh, that's not good. What's going on here? Oh, it's because I set the width to 40. Yeah, I remember that. So if I'm always updating with like new content, so all these originals, I can show, if you're not familiar with Webflow, so you can create these CMS collections. And I'm able to go in, like, let's say for the collaborations, you can see like all, like I set the order. I mean, I should really dive in on how this is done because I think there's some people who might find it interesting about how, like, if you go the Webflow route, you can manage all your content through here. There are some pain points to it, but it's super helpful. So long story short, like this is something I want to have always evolving. And I don't know what my brand really is. I'm kind of feeling it out. So if I start making changes and start doing like weird colors, like I can do it myself. And there was a time where I thought, I mean, it's still, I'm still figuring out what my real value is. I think the diversity of what I do is, there's value in that, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none in some cases. I think I have my strong suits that get into like more of like the art direction. I've done the e-commerce, but that's not really what I want to do. So that's the other problem, is like my portfolio, like how I put that forward and how I use that as a tool to get back the shit I want. Versus like if I just show a folio full of just e-commerce work, like I'm gonna get e-commerce back, and I don't fucking want that. Like, did it, I think everyone can kind of do it. And yeah, like I'll still do it. It's kind of stupid to throw away a lot of information that I've accrued over the years doing it, but it's just not of interest. Like I'd rather do more just fun stuff, kind of weird, like RE site. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's where, yeah, I think having it as something I can evolve is probably the short of it. And I'm working on new products, some resources, yeah. And like there's different sections in here. Like I have, oh no, I have no idea what this is gonna look like. Oh, I didn't break it too badly. But having like sections, like I can just inject content sections. Like I'm gonna have like a new featured, so if there's like something I just put out, there's a large promo with that. And like if Ari has to do that or some other developer has to just like keep adding this, like they've got other shit to do. And for me, like Webflow isn't that hard. Like I learned it and it was painful. Oh, I never did find the other project files, but fuck, what was I gonna say? But yeah, a lot of learnings through there. And I like the contrast between large and small copy. I'm glad to hear, man. Like that was kind of what I was going for, was create a sense of scale with things, and just drive attention to the right places. Like if it's essential information, I'll try and make it clear. And like you can be bold by the use of space, or you can be bold with just like big fucking type everywhere, which, you know, I'm a designer. I think every designer wants to use big type no matter what. So yeah, glad it doesn't like bother too many other people. And then like it's also like when it becomes more product focused, it's like how do I just be very kind of matter of fact and straightforward. And like I don't want to be transactional, but I want to be very clear about like, okay, here's all my original creations, and the through line with these being they're all dependent on my content creation. Some of the other, like I say, there's like a way to bypass it and go to non-photo originals, but this is something that's like I have spent so much time like on this specific section. Like how do I talk about, because it was like, okay, I have the originals, but there's a grouping of them that all are dependent on photography. So it's like, do I have a photography section? And a lot of these are really crude in terms of like, that's why I'm like zooming out because it looks like shit. But it's like, how do I talk about, like photography is like a big thing for me, but I don't want it to be everything. So how do I show where it all shows up and how people can find it, while not like belaboring it? Yeah, I should find, let me see if I can find my old one. I just realized like if I do that leaning in because I've got old man eyes, like it makes me really close on the cam and no one needs that in the morning. Let's see. Design. So I don't know if I open a new window. Oh yeah. I mean, I could start just rattling off. Let's see. I gotta go to Streamlabs, Sketch, which tab? This is such a pain in the ass. Like the way you have to manage, like what window you show. I could do desktop streaming, but maybe I should do that real quick. Hey, right on it. Stoked you popped in, man. Yeah, I know these things are super awkward, but let's definitely catch up where I'm not rambling and acting like an idiot. I hope you're doing good, man. It's been way too fucking long. So let's keep in touch. Any sneak peek of Ari's site? Another I don't think I have the development site. I can't even switch tabs, and let me go Chrome browsing, back here, Sketch, preferences. So then you have to like go through this long list of windows of what's open. And apparently it's just not updating, which is really unfortunate. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide some of the windows for now. I'll do desktop streaming. Okay, so you can see a little Streamlabs setup. But yeah, if you want to see like churn, like this is fucking churn. This is like a death spiral that I just didn't know how to get out of. Like I would start liking things and then I would just immediately hate them. And this was for like photo categories. So how do I introduce different categories of photos? And this is when I broke them out into different pages. And I'm a very iterative designer, so I don't know what I want going in. I think I have a general idea. I understand the hierarchy. I understand what I want to convey, but how I do it, I don't know. Like, I think I had all these inspiration kind of pulled in. You could see where it starts manifesting. A lot of like the repeating, like the overlaps, some of the tracked out space, using lines as separators, how I look at overlaps, how I use focus, whether you like box things in and have it more like an ambient texture. Like these are all things I think I explored in some capacity or another. I mean, I haven't seen this for a minute, but yeah, this was like an idea for like page sections. And I had like whole hover animations, like when you hovered over it, like all kind of did weird things. But you can see like I'm just screenshotting. Like I know what it could look like done properly, but when I'm in this sort of level of churn, like I don't fucking care. Like I'm just gonna take a screenshot, be like, okay, this is where the meta is gonna go, and just get a sense of things, knowing that there's gonna be later refinement. Like I like to get things probably about like 60% of the way, or no, probably more than that. I mean, it's always like the last 10% takes 90% of your time, and that this fucking site is my last one. Absolutely the case. I mean, this is just the category exploration. Then there was like case study explorations where I think I did secondary page explorations, case study colors. So what's funny is like this has kind of become what I'm doing with Aries. Like this was just two color palettes. And I actually didn't leverage any of these for Aries, which I think I could show. I don't know what folder. Let me pull up Streamlabs. You can see I have the idiot cam, Chrome browsing. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, let's see what I could show. Mr. Ari, he's been teasing it out, so I feel okay about posting some stuff. Yeah, it's been super fun working with him and his folio. Like I just appreciate his attention to detail. Like it's hard to find. Like he's borderline obsessive like I am. It's fucking great. And like just able to bounce off ideas with him. Yeah, so let's go desktop. So yeah, this is like, I kind of tease it out on Twitter, but basically having custom palettes for everything. I've always like, I mean, going back to, where is it? Into this, no, that's not it. Wherever my last, like this color study, like this is where it started and this is where it's at now, whatever that fucking meme is. It's like going to photo, like this is a random tangent, but going to photo has, I think, improved my color palettes and kind of color awareness. I think some of these, I never really got to a great place, but I think they were going for a different vibe than kind of what's going on here. Like trying to find some common ground. We're still, hide that for now. I don't know why. I should put that over the Streamlabs. But yeah, I think I'll probably do I'll do another stream kind of breaking that one down as well. Some of the process, some of the exploration, like how things got to where they are, because it was very much a collaboration. Like I think the original idea and some of the main ideas was Ari's, but then how I could just take it and run with it and turn it into, I don't know, just evolve it basically. Like it was never either of us just independently coming up with stuff. So yeah, it's fun. And like these sort of colors, like just, I don't know if I still have some of the other ones. I would just start like pulling off alts and looking at weird colors. I mean, this is technically Ari's site, and there were some that he just wasn't feeling. And I think like some of this red on blue is definitely not conventional. I still like it. I think it's fun. Maybe it's something I'll just save for myself at some point, or I don't know. Yeah, so it's like how we create a system, and then the type being kinetic, I think is something that's kind of fun. And also trying to be performant. That's Ari's thing. He's got a thing for 60 FPS, and it's like when I was doing this version of the site. I think it was like when I was first started chatting with him, and I asked him like how to animate blurs with any sort of like, how do I make it more performant to animate blurs? And he just said, don't. So there's no way to really achieve 60 FPS with animating blurs. It is like the most, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, this is how I always say it, but like computationally expensive process, because of like your browser has to render the full thing, and then it's got to render the blur and how those pixels kind of disperse, I guess. And so if you animate that on a full canvas, depending on your screen size, like it's a lot. And so I used to melt phones with my last one, and it's something like I want to work on with this. I have an idea. That I got to work, but it runs into limitations with Webflow, which is really frustrating. And the only option I have to make it work is to pay for the next plan up, which is an extra like $60 a month. And I don't know. Basically involves like a more editorial style where you can see what's coming behind the content. So it's like if you have a piece of paper, I've always tried to do it, but I never found like a good time to do it. Like if you look at actual print paper, it's probably not going to be in this one. I should go back to, I don't know if it's in any of these. No, not really. But I mean, I guess the quickest way to explain it is if like a real piece of paper that's got any sort of like double-sided printing, depending on the thickness of the paper, sometimes you'll see the other side kind of shining through. Let me do Chrome browsing. I think I have it somewhere. So I have like a repository of like things I'm testing. Like at one point I had these sort of section titles. It doesn't work now because it's not tall enough, but So I don't know if this is going to work. Is this? So body, as the body scrolls, not scrolling, I think it's page trigger. While page is scrolling, play an animation, reflected scroll, 0. See if this works. But you can kind of get the idea of like, as you scroll up, like it's basically like a long sheet of paper, and so it would just basically turn the corner. Let me see if I can get this. So ideally, let's turn all this other shit off to the top. I don't need that. Scroll progress. What is this? Get the fuck out of here. Section container. Work progress off. Oh fuck. See, this is where you get in trouble. You always want to be on like your primary, because then you start like changing different things. Gets all fucked up. What is this and why is it still showing? Okay, so the idea being like you can see kind of what's coming. It's not like it's missing a wrapper, so some of this stuff, and some of this is old design, but it works pretty well, like performance-wise, and it shouldn't be any extra load because it's technically loading the same asset twice, so it's just how it's rendering like two things moving at once. And ideally, like you would see, like it's all messed up right now. This would be towards the bottom, like just before the footer's coming up. So it's, I don't know, like this is the kind of shit like you can do with Webflow. Like if you have these ideas and you have a tentative understanding of how to develop, you can execute these wild ideas. And I have like this interactive page that I need to work on. But I think if you follow me on Instagram, I think I posted it there. You can see some of these like interactive things. So like for the no ISO thing on the homepage, I was thinking about different ways of like whether it's something you interact with. And then this turned into just something that like you can just play around with. Like the originals was like mouse position, it would rotate. I think I have, where is that? A lot of switching. So this is like one of the first design streams, so sorry if this is painful. But like as you scrolled, it would rotate, whether it was like had a background color or not, whether it was like a consistent like type grid to kind of like hold it a little bit more as the masked out text term. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's in there somewhere. I should be able to just get it back, but right now, like it's not. Like you can see the circle cut out. Let me see if I can get this to work actually. What was it? I think it was this. Globe hover. The fuck is that? And see, like my class names are like, I did this quickly, like I just wanted to create this effect, and so I just started making just random stuff. It's really bad. Oh no, I got rid of it. Or no, is it this? I don't think it is. So you can see like all the different layers of it. Let me see if I can make it real fast. So if you don't know Webflow, like this is how you can create different interactions. there's all sorts of different parameters that you can create it with. Oh, yeah, and I'm not showing Chrome. There we go. Sorry, I kind of ignored the chat for a second. Got carried away. How do I implement grain on top of everything? So that's, oh, I probably wasn't showing my screen for any of this. I'll just show this real fast. So this is like the no ISO promo, like whether it was something where you just create like these patterns of abstract things. Like there were moments like if you align things, it kind of made interesting like compositions. Like some of the lines start lining up. I don't know. Had an edible and thought it was kind of fun. Just to create like these interactive sort of ways of just digesting content. Because like some of this is supposed to be fun and just exploratory, and like, yes, it's not the easiest way to read collaborations, but I don't know. This was like the beginning idea. It's kind of messed up. How did I do grain? So for me, okay, if you know Webflow, you can use symbols, which I highly recommend. If you don't, that's okay. Like if you're in general web development. So for me, like I would put this aux, which is like auxiliary, symbol across all my pages. And anytime I updated that, it would update across the board. So that's one of the beautiful things. It's kind of like Sketch with I guess, yeah, those are symbols. Yeah. Probably where they got the idea for it, because you can also do overrides now in Webflow, just the same way of like you create something that's going to be repeated often, and you can just like if you change the design or if you add design elements to it, does it on all pages, but you can still overwrite text. Random symbols tangent. So I have this ambient shit. So sorry about my class names. I'm real mature, as you can tell. So I have this noise layer. Let me see. I'll do the interactive thing in a second. So how did I do this? Auxiliary. So the main thing is like you want this to sit on top of everything. Where did I put? So ambient shit was like everything I wanted on top of absolutely everything. So that's where like you have to play with the z-index and make sure like my z-indexes started running away. Like it got, I would just be like, that needs to be on top of that. But it's like, then I'd find a problem where it was too low and it's like, well shit, it needs to be above that. So then it was like 100 was the max, 101 was like, okay, that's like the max. Then I was like, shit, I need something on top of that. So it's like, all right, 103. Then something would show up underneath. I'm like 1,000, 10,000. It's really stupid. Don't advise it. Have a system for your z-indexes. Like have a top and then like work your way down or work your way up as needed. So it's basically a div that sits on top of everything. It has pointer events masked or turned off. So you have it on top, everything kind of goes underneath. It stretches the full, so it's fixed position, so it never moves. It stretches the full canvas, 100% width, 100% height, and then overflow to hidden. That's important for how this is done. So this is actually code from, I think I got the base code from my boy Jacob over, I think it's still basic. Way back in the day when he was working on my site, this is something that he did for my portfolio site. And where is it? Oh, it might not be here. So this is also a problem. You can have code in multiple places, and how you track it is important. So I have the local CSS embed. So this is something I can go in and modify. It's still kind of a pain to go into the symbols. Let me switch to Sketch real fast because I don't know if I want all my billing information and stuff showing up. Okay. Chrome browsing. So you have this additional HTML and CSS code that you can inject. Of course, I have something stupid, like the ASCII, ASC2, whatever, ASCII, whatever the fuck it is. It's like GIF, GIF, who cares? So this is where I have like a lot of my different animations. Like I have for some reason, I had shake red, shake light, shake dark. And that's basically the projection. So the I guess it all kind of feeds into the same thing of like the noise. And then I also added like a flicker, like it's all trying to pull in cinematic themes. And you can see like with the transitions, the grain kind of ramps up and it kind of oscillates a little bit. So it kind of has a moment where, and page transitions are trying to like pull focus. I can talk about that too if that's of interest. But you can see like the little shake. So it's like the camera shake. So it's kind of trying to pull from like retro style. And then recently I added like a flicker. So it moves. So it's kind of like that refresh rate. I don't know if I got it exactly mathematically correct, but whatever, it's like 60 hertz or whatever it is. I think it's somewhere around there. But yeah, sorry, that's a random tangent. Where was I? So this is the shake animation. Oh, so then I have it responsive. I have it doing two different methods. One on based on view width, like how much it shakes. But here's the noise animation. I don't know if it's at all helpful. So basically that noise layer, I have, where is it? Noise. So here's, like, I don't know if you want to screenshot this. This is literally the CSS that brings it to life. It has no content. It has no pointer events. Will change, I'm not totally familiar with. I believe it's like GPU acceleration, or I guess it creates or it uses GPU acceleration. But it also, I don't know, maybe it's more performant, I don't know. Someone told me to do it. I think it was Jacob actually just pasted it in there, and I've started trying to use GPU acceleration, especially when I was doing like the heavy blurs, but can't do that anymore. So animation, noise animation. So this is setting the keyframes for the noise animation. Setting opacity, background image. So I created just a noise pattern. So this is basically what is repeated. Like that's basically patterned over the whole thing. And I have the width set to 200%, height to 200%. So that gives you like a little extra bleed off. It's probably too much. I could probably get away with less. I think maybe 150 should be safe, but you start noticing in mobile, like there was a while where on mobile you could see some of the, like the edges of the grain would just, because it's doing this, this translate position, you would see the edges of it, and it was kind of, I don't know, wasn't good. And there's a lot of movement, like for something that big, 200% of the canvas moving 5%, 10%, but this is happening like, so these are percentages of the total. So these are the keyframes, like exactly as it says. Like at 0%, it's dead center, it's not moving. At 10%, it's -5%. On the X, -5% on the Y. And it just kind of does these like random oscillations to try and make it feel organic. But the duration is 1 second. So it's doing all of these with no easing. So it's doing whatever it is, 10 keyframes in 1 second. So that gives it the appearance of just like kind of always moving. And I don't know, like this, oh shit, that's not good. See these baselines. What happened? the fuck? Yeah, it's always fun finding bugs like that. So that gives it the appearance of noise, so that's really how it's done. I think I have blend mode. Do I not? Let's see. So I'm using the inspect tool. Where is it? These like auxiliary, like pointer event hidden. Oh, here it is. Ambient shit, noise. So right now, why is opacity at 0.4? Oh, see? I mean, this is good. Finding shit that's stupid. So I have opacity hard-coded in here. But if I don't do it there, I can control the opacity here. 60%. So it's actually less. But then when you start animating it, it's always kind of in flux, and so these interactions will override whatever your opacity is here. And that's, like, interactions can be kind of a mindfuck to figure out, but they are, I don't know, they click. Like, if you know timeline-based stuff, it should work pretty quickly. But yeah, kind of. I'm trying to think of how long it took me to kind of wrap my head around them. And that's where I started just doing these kind of weird one-off sort of like hover animations. There's another one I'm going to bring back. I had it was an Easter egg on my old site. I don't think no one ever told me they found it. But it was like if you click the GPS on the landing, it created like this vintage style like globe of circles rotating. So I'm going to do that at some point. But this whole interactive section's kind of low priority for me at this point. There's nothing that can be done with this in terms of like an offering. Maybe it shows kind of some creativity, but it's not like a service that anyone would want to hire me for, I don't think. Because these are kind of like, sounds kind of wankish to say, but like kind of making art from code. I don't know. That's the thought, at least, is like create like abstract patterns. And there's so many better ones that I lost, but I don't know what to do with that. Let's see, getting caught up in the chat. Yeah, the performance issues in general with Webflow. I mean, I get kind of lulled into the idea that everything's okay because Webflow has no audits on performance. And I put it in their wish list, and I don't think anyone even liked it or acknowledged it. Like, it's like putting a kid in a candy store. It's like, hey, you can animate everything. And once like interactions sort of make sense and how you can apply it to classes, it like you can just like suddenly you add a blur and like a move when things scroll into the viewport, and then it starts animating all sorts of things. And because I was kind of OCD and I really wanted to control how things happened, I was animating lines individually, titles individually, because then you can create different offsets, different speeds. So it's like I would have the title load in first with a slight blur and fade in of the body. And yeah, I just get people saying like it almost doesn't load, or people would tell me it like crashed their computers. So, and I didn't know, like I had a MacBook Pro. It wasn't, I mean, it's like a 2018 now, and it handled it pretty well. It was funny. It was like sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. So I just kind of went with the good times, and I was like, yeah, like, it's smooth. Kind of put my head in the sand. But with this one, like right now, there's no scroll in animation. This stuff moves, but you can see it even like it's jumpy. And I don't know why. It should be really smooth with the easing, but it's tied to scroll, so it moves like it's constantly computing position, which is probably why it's kind of jumpy. The blur is with background. Is it with background CSS blur? So the way you can do it in Webflow, I can show this real fast. So if I go to collabs, and let's say, I mean, I do want to do something with it. I don't know what the scrolling is. Body content. Oh, so I used to have something there. So actually, it's still here. It's just not. It's not on right now. So yeah. So basically, I have two keyframes set as initial state. So this is where it starts, and this animation is specific to when it's scrolling in view. So when it scrolls in view to fire an animation. So right now, it's going to start at 100%. It's going to go to 100% with a quarter of a second delay, and it's going to take 1 second with an out quad easing, which looks like nothing. But if you start it at, I was doing 10%, you can see it'll just fade in. But even that, like, it's having a hard time. But sometimes the preview of animations within Webflow are not smooth. It's kind of sad, and I think they really need to figure that out, because then you have to save it, check it on this main preview. You can see, like, as each item scrolls in, it fades in. Like, it's really that simple. And it's that easy to, like if I start, so what I was gonna say, so if I add a filter, so this is like CSS filters, you can add it down here and blur. So right now it's gonna blur it at 5 pixels, and that's the initial state. So it's gonna start, like right before it gets into the viewport. This is the state it's gonna be in. Duplicate it, add it to here, and then you want to change it to 0. So you want it to be in focus when it scrolls into the viewport. You can set the same easing. Like, I like to offset things a little bit. I like to start at the same time, but like the duration, like maybe this is 1.25, so it hits the full opacity and then kind of comes into focus next. So I think it feels a little bit more dynamic. It's still choppy, but you could see how easy that was to add in blurs. But depending on how many things you have blurring at once, like, you could just shut your fucking site down. Like, and this preview feels a little, oh, Footer's doing it now? So when is it doing that? I didn't know it was doing that. But yeah, so it's nice, and I'm still trying to figure out what the right balance is, but I think it's feeling like that scroll, that like reverse scroll I had, I think is what I want to go with, and I just need to figure out how it's done. The main problem is the CMS limitations of it. So because this is all pulled from the CMS, like all this content, so this is pulling like the client name, I can change it to context. So it's like where it was done, who it was done with, or how it was done. All of this is managed through this one portal. Even this took a little bit of custom code, and thank you to Ari for like getting this to work and actually jump to different places. Took a little bit of, I mean, it's not that hard. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm a fucking wizard for coding. You have to like add these IDs, and then Ari helped me with a little bit of JavaScript to get these to show as active, which was super helpful. Yeah, so you have a limit of, you can have 20 instances. So these collection lists is what they're called. And yeah, I think you're limited to 20 per page, and I don't think it's a performance thing. I think they tried to say it was a performance thing, and then they made it like a tier thing. So if you pay the next tier up, right now I can have 20 on a page, then you can have 40 on a page, which would be plenty for me to execute this. And it would be a scroll effect that would update. It would be not something I'd have to really spend too much time managing. Or at least in my head, there's a way for me to like kind of copy paste everything. And that's what's nice about this too. You can copy and paste between things. So I don't know if that helps with the blur. Yeah, the authorities have been notified. That's just peak stupid on my part. Like right click. I've always been protective of my work. So I don't want people stealing it. I want to make it as hard as possible. Like you can't drag images also. That's a little bit of custom code I found, some JavaScript. I had someone just send me an email saying cringe as the title, and the authorities have been notified. I was like, I don't know. There's some fucking funny people out there. It's like, all right, you want to get fired up about that? That's cool. Like, and that's the thing with this. Like, there's going to be plenty of people. Like, I'm happy with it. I think the response has been great, but like people are going to hate it. That's okay. Like, my demographic isn't those people anyways, and it's definitely not like an older demographic. Yeah, like there's going to be things that like don't quite make sense, or the type being all tracked out. Like, hey, that's kind of hard to read. It's like, this is a portfolio at the end of the day. This is my brand at the end of the day, and I want to kind of put that at the forefront. And if it doesn't work for everyone, it doesn't work for everything. That's like the problem a lot of brands get in, is they try and be all things to everyone instead of like knowing who you want to talk to. There's always going to be people who don't get it, and there's always going to be people who hate it. And if they want to put energy towards hating it, fucking, that's their problem. I could not care. But yeah, so I'm going to take that off, that little filter. It might be okay. I want to play around with it a little bit. But yeah, and this is on my wish list too. So this page in general, if I go to collabs, like the way Lightbox content is controlled, it's hard to do anything interesting with this, and especially something that's like powered by the like the content management system. So I'm able to link, like I don't want all these linked together. I want it by project. I want this design to be better. I want to be able to surface some information in this view. And there's a way to do it, but it seems like a lot to get it to work. And there's like, I think it's like Pixel Geek. I think he's like the main guy doing tutorial videos, and he just like would offer to do live streams breaking down how he did all these different things in Webflow, and honestly, it was super helpful. I sound like a Webflow salesman. They should send me a fucking commission check. But they have like the university on there, which is also super helpful. Really well done videos. Gotta give them credit. Some of the newer ones have kind of fallen off, but yeah. No. Wow. Turn this Pinterest thing off. Oh, I guess you can. I've never done this on my own site. Apparently, you can pin all this stuff. Kind of not a bad view. That's almost better than this. Fuck. Yeah, like to me, this is all random. Like the fact that I can't control I can't control this viewable window based on the content. So then I have things that I want to be big enough or like wide enough for it to scroll, but then I have to have a max height so I can still have this and this. In which case, if I go to my photos, I don't have control over, let's see, photos. Like this page sucks, by the way. I do not like it. Like if I condense this down enough, now you're scrolling on my photos, which sucks. Like that's a shit experience. So yeah, it's one of those things I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna try and make this page better, where the light box isn't as necessary. It's gonna be fewer, it's gonna be longer scroll, but I think I'm gonna get bailed out by having this anchor nav. So it's like, you can really dive in. It can be this like crazy long page, but you can just jump to different things by this sort of navigation. But yeah, so I think the other thing is I had a portfolio I had done in 2016 with the same guy who gave me the noise code, Jacob. And he just didn't have the bandwidth. He was working too much. He's got a family, and I wanted it out yesterday. So this is one of those things. That's what pushed me into Webflow to start with, is just I want to be able to do my own things whenever I want to, which this definitely lets you do. It can definitely be a rabbit hole to fall into, but it gives you the flexibility to just do whatever you want. I can't remember what I was saying about that, but yeah, I think a lot of people right click. It was funny, I had to turn it off for a little bit because Ari was trying to help me with this anchor nav and he couldn't inspect the code. Like, there's a shortcut where you can do Command Option I in Chrome and it pulls up. You can't see that window. You can take a look at what's under the hood. It's just all these little things to try and make it more difficult. And like I had the idea on that same portfolio I was talking about, like I wanted to have high-res images, and it was trying to come up with a way to show them without risking too much piracy. And so I was trying to figure out a way with a developer to, through the CMS, like when you upload it, it breaks it into panels. So each image, you upload it in a high res, and then when it's displayed, it's technically displaying like a quilt of different panels. So if someone really wants to pirate my image, they can't right click it, they can't drag, they'll have to inspect the code, and then they'll have to reassemble it in Photoshop or something. And at that point, like if you want it that bad, like it's fucking yours. Like there's nothing I can do at that point. It's like everything you put on the internet, the second you do, it's up for grabs. And I fully realize that. And so that's why I put it there. It's like, I don't think this is going to really scare anyone off. It's just another inconvenience. And it's my way of saying, like, in a very dumb way, like, please don't steal my shit. Like, it's on my Instagram stories in the right-hand meta rail. Please don't steal my shit. But at the end of the day, like, I'm feeling less attached to my work than I think I ever have. I used to be very protective, and yeah, that doesn't really do me any good. Plus, I want to keep moving, so like I don't want to be too attached to one thing and have that be everything. I'm actually gonna be right back. Gonna use the bathroom real quick and then grab some water. So I'll mute the stupid music I have on this because it's terrible and I made it, so it's bad. Be right back. Okay. Oh, sorry, you got a bit of that audio still. I want to make sure caught everything in the chat. I kind of get distracted super quickly. And I'm stoked there's people showing up. Like, there's so much other. I mean, a lot of these early ones, they're still like primarily DVR content. I feel like I say this every time. I think the amount of people coming, and I need to have like a agenda for these. Okay, making sure my mic's on. Where they have a purpose, but I think in time I want to open it up so it's more like I'm just available, kind of doing whatever. There's no real plan. I'm still figuring out how I can show design in general. I can't really show it outside of my own stuff, which is unfortunate, or at least I don't know how unless I get sign off from people to do it. But yeah, let me check through the chat, make sure I caught everything. Malik, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Again, like all this praise is still weird to hear. It's greatly appreciated. I can tell you that. Adarsh, other than Pinterest, what other inspiration sources do you use for art direction concepts? I go on Behance quite a lot. I will, let's see. I go to my profile, my appreciations. I don't do mood boards or anything, but like I'll go through here and start collecting different things that I like. I'm kind of a lurker on Behance. I go on there very regularly. But yeah, I'll kind of save some things to here. I'll ideally bring it into my Pinterest board. Sometimes I get lazy with my Pinterest board and I don't want to like pull something from Behance into Pinterest. It's just whatever. So that's when I start getting into like just dragging things in. Sometimes it's off Pinterest. Sometimes it's just like I'm browsing the web and something pops up. And that's like, I don't know. I'm always kind of browsing and always looking around, just visually at all sources. That's definitely the thinking behind so some of my other boards. Like no ISO this is like my kind of general, like I'll have very specific mood boards for, or sources, inspiration boards, whatever you want to call it, for very specific things, but I'll always come back to things like this, where it's so broad. It covers like illustration, painting, old nuclear weapons effects dials. So I try and post on here pretty regularly, and I don't know, it's just interesting. Like if I go to the browse feed, like half the time it's shit, half the time there's something interesting. Like I'll have to kind of sift through a lot of stuff to try and get somewhere useful or get something that I like. I mean, there's definitely some good stuff in here right now, but I don't think that's as relevant for me to start pinning shit. that's kind of, and I usually do that to like kill time. Or if I'm stuck on something hard that's been on my to-do list for a while, I'll just like, fuck it, I'm going on Pinterest and seeing what I can find, and maybe it'll spark an idea. And again, the idea of the no ISO thing in general, the whole thing is like cross-discipline, architecture, photography, music, illustration, typography, like whatever, like anything that's like visually inspirational or like creatively authentic is how I kind of come to think of it. Because a lot of like trends you can spot, and it's like, all right, that's going to come and go, or it seems like a one-off of someone else's work. Yeah, I try and sift through that. And I don't know, like this is just useful for me. And this is like the whole no ISO thing in general is, it's just formalizing a process I do for myself. I think it's been very useful for me. So me putting it out there and making it available for other people, it's literally like no skin off my back. Between that and the Spotify playlist, like I'm just always listening to music, always just adding things, wanting to have it saved. And I think it took me a while to figure out what lens to look at things through, but it's kind of broad, modern, kind of edgy, but also relatable. Like the fucking modern art stuff that's just like so out there, like I'm not interested in. It's just not doing anyone any good. Let's see, anything else I missed? Any Easter eggs on the site? Not yet. It's in there, but it's not done. It wouldn't be an Easter egg if I said it, would it? I don't know. I want to do several. Like, it's funny. I think Ari does them too. A lot of his sites he does different Easter eggs on. I don't know. Something fun. Like I want this to be like these are very direct moments, but I want it to be exploratory. And that's where some of these interactive things used to be the headers. Like these would be the headers of the page, which is kind of wild, probably excessive, but I don't know. Like this is my brand. I can do whatever the fuck I want with it, and it's kind of like a testing ground for different things. Actually, I did want to see what the hell is going on with this. So I think this is like the max viewport. Are you kidding me? So it looks fine here. It's not right here. Okay. Turn that off. So now I have duplicates. So why is this not aligned? 0.75 view width. Bottom padding. So this is where it kind of gets maddening, where it's like, this really shouldn't be a problem, at least as far as I'm concerned. Line height? Where's it getting this line height from? Computed. Line height of 20 pixels. Where the fuck is that coming from? That's not helping. And the problem is, like, so sometimes there's a difference in how it renders because, so for these, this is using a custom code. So this is like, I had to hand code this, which is kind of weird to do in such like a visual editor to then have an element that's, so you can add in code embeds and it can be whatever. You can add scripts in here, you can add, I don't know. I don't even know what's all possible. But yeah, so this lives in here and it's all like, so all these classes, T hero, so type, hero, index, title, that is pulling style from here. So if I just like hide this duplicate, I can stylize everything, which is the C hero anchor link. And I have it set so if I create a combo class of off, it hides it. So it sets it to display none. So I really don't know. Like there used to be an issue where the custom code one and the one created in Webflow, like there used to be a difference between like how these aligned. but it's not totally apparent to me. There's one last thing I might want to check, like how each of these are aligned. Sometimes, like if you don't specify it, it doesn't. So if you justify it, align it. This is aligned to. So where's this? Untitled. So I just gotta check, make sure these are all justified to the bottom. You can do baseline, but because some of these arrows have different alignment, it's not something that I think works best for what I'm after. I mean, it's aligned to bottom. Huh? So there's things like this. It's just like I don't know. I tried to fix it, but I didn't. Konami code. That'd be pretty good. Actually, I haven't looked up how to do keyboard shortcuts or like keyboard navigation. I think it's built into the default Webflow, into like the lightbox, but yeah, stuff like that, where like you put in like a random code and shit happens. Yeah, there's gonna be like random things to click on or mouse over for a certain amount of time and a prompt shows up. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away. And like I want to bury things in there like discount codes and I don't know, random stuff, because everything I'm doing and selling is digital, and at the end of the day I don't do it for money. And like I do want to reward the people who are been with me for a while, like on this whole creative journey, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And just basically like give away all these. I mean, the screensaver and the TV app are free right now. The like wallpapers is one of the only products right now. Stream Deck, something I'm working through. But yeah, and oh, will the font ever be made public or open to purchase? Not right now. This has been my own sort of test bed to try and learn fonts. Why is that wrong too? Damn, this is bugging out. See, that's how it should be. Sorry. This is when you start noticing all these problems. You just like the way I bug, or yeah, whatever the right word is. I can't think. How I do like my bug testing is I just like click around and try and just find shit. And so much of it is like I'm trying to work on something else and I notice a problem. I've got some ideas. Like I really need to do some fixing or some updates on this. I had all those stretch characters for a while. Let's see if I go. Playground. Ooh. So I updated these headers, and the way it works with this is not good. Like where that lands is kind of shitty. It's not. That's not terrible. This one looked bad. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Have to change that. So I had like all these like custom things built in, which I don't know. I liked them. What is it? No, that's not it. What is it? I already forgot a lot of my shortcuts. I forgot how to make the delta symbol. Fuck. Does this work? It does work. stuff like that, like I don't think I would want out in the public. I think maybe making a public version potentially at some point. I think I'd rather do a different font from mine. I think there's a lot of things I learned with mine. There's a lot of things like if you look, so my knowledge of fonts is kind of rudimentary in terms of like all the technical aspects. So I think like a purist would just look at mine and just like see all the problems and pick out the inconsistencies. But that's kind of why I like it, is I just eyeballed the shit out of it. Yeah, all these like custom things, and then I have these more complex things, which can be really frustrating. So those things, those like custom ligature usages aside, there's this sort of stuff where it's like it doesn't need to be out there, and I'm learning more and more. So it's like hinting. It's basically, I'm probably gonna do a terrible job explaining it, but like when a font scales down, it knows like what is a straight line and like what to kind of hold together. It's like kind of how it hold together at scale. And I didn't really do a good job because I don't really know the best way of doing it. I've been trying to look into it, but you'll see like sometimes in the font, I think it's mostly homepage when it's in all caps. I don't know how it happened or what causes it to happen. Because you can do auto hinting in Font Lab, but I think you can see like the G just looks a little low. I mean, don't mind the kerning either. Like you'll see like characters start shifting. So there's a lot of like unprofessional things about it where I wouldn't feel good selling it as a product. I think it works. I'm very happy with where it is right now. But it's also something like I want to make available to different like people I collaborate with, brand partners or whatever you want to call them. It's a free to use font on the web that I think works for almost all purposes, and it kind of speaks back to my aesthetic. Like I made this font and all the characters. I didn't create all the characters from scratch. There's a lot of like kind of generic characters mixed in, but like how I made it my own, it's all back to my aesthetic. So if I can bring that into whatever project I'm on, I think it already feels like mine because it's got that. It's a benefit for anyone who wants to collaborate with me if they like the font at all. Like it's an option. Like Ari's site, let me see if I can talk about one more thing with his, I guess. Not that, it's his. Fuck. Wait, where am I? All right, sketch. Oh, fuck, it's the wrong window still. Can I really still not update this? It's wild, like, the window does not show up anywhere. I wonder what happens if I close this. Don't save. So I closed it, but it's still showing the same window open, unless my stream froze. Let's see. Let's go back. Sometimes if you switch modes, you can refresh things. Or it refreshes the list. Still not there. It's still showing. Try one thing. display capture. I can just do the desktop stream. 1 second. Where is it? I have my Stream Deck thing. It's funny, I bought the Stream Deck. Oh no, what am I moving? What is that? Grain. I have grain on the stream too, by the way. Probably not a great idea. Put it on top of Sketch. Yeah, let's see. Hide this. Do desktop browsing. So this is like his about page. A lot of other explorations. But like being able to use, so we're using, what is this, Cms? For like the main headline font for everything, all the projects that I was showing earlier, but all this body copy I'm able to leverage my own. And it's not something I have to worry about someone barking at me for licensing or having to pay for that. That was the biggest thing, is I'm just cheap. I don't want to pay for licensing fonts. Like, that's not interested. And I think, I can't remember what happened. I mean, I used to do like dodgy shit. Like, I'd embed fonts and change the names so they didn't come up in searches. Just definitely a no-no. Don't do that. Yeah, I just didn't want to be accountable for anything. I didn't want to pay anyone anything. So I think I've just found that like having this as like a proprietary font is something that really benefits me. My own personal usage, I have no one to worry about coming at me for fonts in any medium, whether it's in videos and photos and any of that. But I think there is probably another font I want to make. Maybe another, I want to make like a serif font, but that's like a whole thing. Those are kind of tricky to get good or get them working properly. Like this font's kind of like a, it's like, I guess it's technically a grotesque. It's kind of geometric. It kind of, I don't know. It doesn't have a ton of character, I guess, but all these stupid ligatures keep showing up. So this is the other problem. It's like then if you're in Sketch and you're trying to do ligature control, it's just such a pain in the ass. The shortcut doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why. Or it didn't last time. It probably will now. Nope. 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 Doesn't work. It's fine. Yeah, kind of long answer. Sorry. That's not what I want to do. And thank you guys for the questions. I do appreciate it. This is way more fun than me just trying to like just do my thing. And I think there probably will be times where I want to just kind of come on and just like maybe take a question or two, but largely just work. But I mean, in general, right now, the whole goal is to kind of give back with my time. So ask away. Doesn't have to be design related. It could be anything. Like even if I'm on a design stream, like photos, videos, doesn't matter. You come up with the interactions animations on his site, or are you going back and forth with Ari? I'll probably go into depth on that on another stream, but a lot of back and forth. A lot of like I'll design a lot of the static layouts with the transitions in mind. So I'll just do rough, like I won't go into the actual frames. I'll save that for another stream. But like how it transitions. So it's like this piece, how is it getting to that space? Is it an opacity shift plus position, a scale shift? Is it a wipe? All these different things. I try and kind of specify, but with Ari, it's not there's a lot of developers who need like very clear documentation on like, this is exactly how this is going to work. It's going to be a 2-second animation from here to here. It's going to be on this easing curve. Yeah, and like you need to draw it out very directly. But with Ari, it's like he's super creative. I mean, there's been a lot of things that were his ideas that like are design related, like how certain things function. That came from him. It's hard to like kind of say which part exactly came from who. It was pretty even. But yeah, that's why I love working with him. Like he gets it. I don't have to be super explicit about things. I can, like, what he knows is so far out of my purview in terms of like, there's always like the performance concerns. Like he as a developer, especially with his portfolio, wants something that's going to be very performant and a good reflection upon him as a developer. But what he's also capable of in terms of like areas we can push it, I don't really know. Like WebGL, like I don't know the full library and abilities of WebGL, so it's just like anything's possible. Like I just start floating stuff over to him and be like, what if we did this? And like I've worked with some very talented developers in the past, and it's always kind of blown my mind what you can float. And like I think for a long time, dating myself, but like coming up in like it was like early responsive web and like off the tail end of Flash. Like Flash, you could kind of do everything. I think I did one Flash site at an agency, and then everything went to HTML. But then it was like very rudimentary HTML with a lot of the developers I was with, or that I was working with at the time. And then slowly, like as they started understanding the value of like creative and front end and it being a whole thing, like it just kept getting more and more robust in terms of what you could do. And like some of the in-house developers at Apple are just mind-blowing what they come up with, which is sad that I can't show any of that stuff. And yeah, like with Ari, like literally, and like you look at his portfolio, like some of the stuff he's done, like I didn't know you could do that with web and or like WebGL or whatever technologies. He does a lot of JavaScript, I think. I don't know. But yeah, very collaborative with him, which is really nice. And yeah, working on the follow-up project to his portfolio right now. Working design. I'm so excited about this one. I cannot tease it at all. I'm trying to figure out how to document it and make it something that's of value post-launch. But it's gonna be cool. It's me and him working with some other people, like just passion project collaboration. Kind of getting weird with it, with like the dreamiest of the dreamy content. So yeah, leave it there. But yeah, hopefully that kind of helps. I mean, I'm just very lucky to work with someone like Ari. I don't know what he wants to do with me still, like why he wants to work with me. I'm kind of, I have my moments, I guess, but kind of average in a lot of ways. I guess he's been able to see through it somehow. I don't know. Really don't know, but it's fun, and I appreciate the dude a lot. And I'm trying to figure out why, like how I fix these anchor links from being so busted. So I just changed this. This is like an updated, I pushed this morning. I had these big, let's see if I can get this to work. I had these big section headers because of course, like I'm a designer, like I'm gonna do. I always start with like the biggest type and then like slowly just kind of like realizing it's a terrible idea. So it's like bit by bit. It's like, okay, like maybe we don't go that big. Is Sketch gonna work? Sketch is gonna work. Yeah, so I was playing around with these different ideas of section heads. So like how they're broken up, how you introduce it. I had like, it kind of goes back to one of my initial ideas about making this very minimal. I think it was shown in on the testing page. Oh, which I didn't undo a lot of the stuff. Where is it? This. So the idea was like you have these huge breaks, and it, like I think you can be really. I think I said it earlier. You can be really bold with aggressive white space. So how do you do that without it feeling like the end of the page or there's like a gap? And it was like this. I don't know if it's gonna work. You could, yeah, you could see like the progress line. So it was like showing where you were in the scroll experience, but that kind of became negated when I had the like the left rail. Let's see. Well, basically when I had this anchor, wait, I don't even know what I'm showing. Fuck. Where is my Streamlabs? I'm still showing this. Let's go back. I can show this real fast. So basically these were going to be the section headers in the place of that larger editorial. This was going to stick for like 50% of the view height, but then like the scroll indicator here, you can see it's mapped to like the overall progress. So you could see like there's a reason to keep scrolling. It doesn't stick because I messed up all the heights. But yeah, that basically got negated. But it's like maybe I bring that back with some of these. Like these headers here. Like if I have 001 tiny title, maybe the 001, like I played around with it being really big, but it's kind of a stupid hierarchy. Like this shouldn't be anything more than an accent. Like, if I go to these guys, oh, I'm on preview, that's why. So you see the preview kind of lags a little bit. Oh, I put this in the background. So the problem is, like, if you put things, it says right here, if you put things to a -1, you can't click on it because this will represent like what your pointer events are, which is kind of nice. Like you can't select different divs and elements that are underneath something else. Like if you have something sticking, like if I had this number sticking and the z-index is like 100, I can't click on anything to edit that's underneath this box. So I can select this stuff, but put it back to -1. It'll never interfere with any content. Excuse me. I don't know if that came through. But you can't also click it on it in the editor, so it can kind of become a pain in the ass. Like, so sometimes I'll do 0, which puts it above some things, below some things. Like, I think it's above this title, but it's below this, so it's kind of a middle ground. Let's see, that's the arrow. So I had this at like 20. Normal. And it was kind of like this big fucking thing that just like stayed in the middle. And it felt kind of nice and like weird. I don't know if it's going to make for a frustrating reading experience. Like, I messed around with it at the top or the bottom, depending on like. I tried to then scroll through and figure out like where I was reading most of my content, and it was like right in the middle. And I thought the alignment on. Let me undo this before I forget. The undo and redo like takes a little lag, so and you have no way to know what the steps are. Yeah, you can just do redo. Let's see. So the fact like getting this to line up took way too long. And I think I've been thinking about this. Like, I don't know if it like so it evens the spacing between it. I don't know. That feels weird because this feels weird. I don't know. That's what I'm playing around with. All these. Someone signed me up for some fucking mailing list, and I'm not too keen on it. I gotta say. Yeah, all these calls from like Wisconsin. I don't know what they're on about. I never answer, but yeah. Can you review my site? It has a lot of departments, but I can't get my head around organizing it. Sure, send it over, man. That's like feedback's always been something I've floated as something I do. Like I think getting a look at what other people are doing is, yeah, it could be interesting. Might be helpful. I don't know. I mean, if the way I do this stream is any indication, I can be kind of all over the place with my thoughts. I'm not great at developing like. I'm not the most succinct with communicating my thoughts. I'll put it that way. And sometimes like I'll just you could probably watch me oscillate from like, hey, make it bigger, but then come up with a reason why you should make it smaller, like within 20 seconds. I'd say it was a gift if it wasn't so fucking inconvenient. But that's where I go back to being iterative, is because I just don't know. I think I have an idea like big type. Let's go. But that's not really what I end up wanting, because I find like XYZ reasons, but then I find like, oh, but it's lacking for this, so then maybe this is the right reason. Like if you want to do it on stream or off stream, doesn't really matter. Like if you don't want it on here, that's okay. Just shoot me an email. I can be really bad about emails. Not trying to like scare you off from doing it. I've been really bad. I'm trying to focus on kind of doing my own thing lately. So like work emails, I've been slacking on. Mostly because I'm not really looking for work right now. I feel very fortunate for that fact. I'm able to take a little bit of time off, and I've had to say no a lot to things that I think I would normally take, but I've been putting off doing these personal projects for a long time. There's like the photo book stuff. There's like getting these live streams going to being something that's, I don't know. I hope it becomes something. Maybe it doesn't. This is the other like sticky element. It goes behind all the content. I had it going in front at one point. It seems a little annoying. It's like, how annoying do I want to be? Like 1 to 10. But I think adding that extra context, and like everything sticks because I think context is important, but it can be kind of over the top sometimes. Check my. Oh, I never did the interaction bit. And that was originals. I do want to get this working at some point. So my lack of div names is not, just don't. Rotate. I'm making numbers up. Oh, that's X. That's not what I want. I want Z. I don't get why Z is. Fuck. Hey. So you see, it's like it's that. And it's jumpy now. It's like, hey, it's a donut. So I turn live preview off. Go in here. See, I'm trying to get better about my naming. And not scale. It's like I do something I don't want to do and I know it, but I still do it. So this is like 120. Duplicate. So this is too much. That's way too much. This one should be 80 at most. I don't think it should be this much. Probably gonna be half of this too. It's probably gonna be 20, 40 is my guess at the end of it. And then you can do easing on this, out quad. Yeah. 10.5 actually is my guess now. This is the bigger one. This should be, no. Minus 10, plus 10, 5, minus 5. So then like as you pan back and forth, I mean, this is really bad. Like if it looks jumpy on the stream, it's just about that jumpy. It's like all these like stupid little interactive bits, and I think I had even more layers. Did. And so each of these need to be a selected element. So you can do like class, so you can choose what it affects, and this is where like naming conventions are really important. What is this? I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't. So rotate. 2. This is -2. Excuse me. So ideally, like when you look at these names, you can tell like what's what. Right now, like div block 677, like it'll just start adding default names. Not very useful when you're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. So this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong with it. So right now, like it's affecting mouse position based in this window. Kind of all of them are doing that same sort of thing. That's all going to be jumpy here. I could have sworn I had more layers. I don't think this is what I wanted to rotate. But yeah, one thing you can also do, so if I have this larger one, let's do opacity. Do 100. 50. So you can create like a, you can create a like a Y component. So then you have like based on X and Y, like X rotates, Y would like maybe create some depth, and like filter. So we can add a blur. Let's say 5 pixels is the max. Can duplicate this. So basically, this is like the top. It'll blur it. Bottom, it'll blur it, but right in the middle, it won't. So that's top and bottom. Let's add this 0. And it can kind of become a lot like for this one specifically, like let's say I want to have a window, like the middle 25%, nothing happens. I have to create this middle point, this like static state, and then create the window for it. So this can become very kind of long and cumbersome, and it's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. To create kind of complex interactions, but if you just like really sit down and just grind it out and don't come back, like the second you leave these interactions and you come back, like you forget how it's structured. There's little things that help, like if you click one, it shows in the secondary highlight everything else that has something applied to it. So you'd see like if I do this in like a staggered approach, like I might be able to create something that feels like it's rotated and kind of pulling back. I think like if I really want to do it properly, I'd also do scale. So I do 0.8. I'll do like 0.95. Duplicate. Duplicate. Lots of trucks still going around here. Oh, that's right, it's 1, not 100. So this should be, like it should feel like it's going back in space. Yeah. So if I do it properly, it should feel like it's just going further back. Kind of suck, like I'll need to add some padding here to the container, which I think is this. Yes. So this is kind of like an okay spot just to kind of show like how I'm doing this stuff. So if we do 10 view height, 10 view height. Now we should have some, let's just put a stroke around it. That will do like, probably won't keep the stroke, but it at least gives you a sense of like what the canvas is. So you can see like, there's really no point to this outside of it being just something kind of interesting. So like as I go up, you see once I cross, it goes back. And you can set what that default state is, like when it's off, like what that looks like. Right now, it's not correct. It's too rotated. So let me just do that real fast. Oh, see, that's annoying. You can't. Why can't I see it? It'd be nice to be able to live preview and understand where center is. So 54, it's not right. 33, also not right. 0, definitely not right. Definitely not 100. It's the other way. It should be 50. Fuck. Hmm. I don't know. This is definitely not working. It needs a lot of attention. Did you send a link with the site? I think it is a big project. How much time it took to finish this portfolio of yours? I don't know. I don't know how to answer like how long that took me. So the previous site took me about 8 months, I think. Just on and off working, chipping away at things. And you can see how it adds up. Like if you do a lot of stress testing and you start finding things that like don't quite work, then you have to rebuild it. It's painful. And why are these top lines gone? That's fun. Yeah, so it becomes a rabbit hole, and I don't want to like scare people off in terms of like doing Webflow for yourself. I don't. If you have a plan and you're not doing anything too crazy, you can get a site out very quickly. It was like even the temporary takeover I did for I don't know what this collabs for Ash's site. Where is it? For like the Evanetta stuff. Like this took me about like a week from scratch. And there's definitely a lot of things that I went in circles about. So like once you learn Webflow, it's pretty straightforward. I did like so I built it off of so when I say it's built off the backbone of the other site, it's all these like CMS collections, like all these originals, all these collabs. Like these were already populated with all this content, and I created all of these. I created so you have to go through and you have to create what the custom fields are, and you have to figure out like what your needs are, what your content is, what you want to say, how you want to say it. That is a long exercise, and that took me quite a while the first time I did my site. So not having to do that now, or like having that as a base to build off of, was very nice and saved me probably a lot of time. So if I just say this 2021 site was 2 months, like it's 2 months plus a year of struggle and like building all these things. There's all these like journal entries and yeah, and there's a lot of learnings from that. So I don't know where the learnings function or like factor in, because this whole thing was a learning process. Like I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to make something usable through Webflow. I was kind of just like, I didn't have any other options. I was waiting on people who just didn't have the bandwidth and just said, fuck it, I'll do it myself. So yeah, so this is something like, okay, so even like the 2 months to break that down, I did it in the evenings when I was on client work. And then for the last month, I like dedicated from now until, I've been thinking like September is just purely just passion projects. It's like my website, it's my content, working on the brand, working on like any collaborations, like the Ari stuff that came up. But I spent a good month full time working on my site, and a lot of that was content population. Like so much of it has been like how I present these originals. Like these are all mock-ups created from vector shapes. That was something. Why is there a hover state on this though? See, this is how you find things. So creating the content for it was probably one of the bigger lifts, if I'm being entirely honest. Why is this here? This is how you do hover states. No filter. There we go. Better. So yeah, it's been an investment, like having to do all my own content, but the site specifically itself, I think like fully dedicated and focused, it could probably do it in a couple weeks, 3 weeks. If I was very focused and had a very specific plan, like my design was all done. But the way I work, it becomes this circle of like, I start designing in Webflow, which is a very interesting thing to think about it in a very programmatic way and very system based, like using classes to define styles, using common elements to define structure, and then looking at how these different things break down. It starts becoming an interesting exercise. And I don't know if I have the best way. I could probably be even more efficient with it. But now with like all these post-launch things, I have a list of things, very specific things that I want to achieve or add or improve. So this is never ending also. Sorry, that was a really long, terrible answer, but have you done any client work with Webflow? Yes. Kind of a passion project. It's like helping a friend out. I did it as a case study to see what it's like doing a Webflow site for someone else. I guess I could probably show it. So it's a resort in Fiji. There's lots of things I've learned about Webflow to make it better since having done this. But, oh, there's so many things I can make so much better. So this is like your typical like design process, content process, wireframes, but like finding like different ways of doing things, like the emotion's still gross. But this took me, it took me a long time. It didn't take me that long. I think because I had design sign off before going into it, it was manageable. I mean, you could see where it's very similar to my site. I have a propensity to do this. I just think it's very helpful. I actually designed this before I designed my portfolio site. So I had this kind of in the back of my mind. But like something like this, like it's not that tough. And for a small company, like it's either going to me or like the alternatives, like to get something like designed, developed is to go to a large shop. And those agencies are so full of bloat, and like there are some companies who need all that hand holding, need all the structure, need all the project managers. Oh, shit. Can't see the screen. That's because I'm not sharing that tab. Let's open up a new one. Sorry about that. Thank you for, I probably would have gone for another like 20 minutes. Just not showing the proper thing and talking about it like you could see it. That's kind of unfortunate. You can't see my cursor and where it is. But so this is a site I made for the resort for a friend and kind of as a case study. So it's not the most complex. It's very simple in terms of content. There's a lot of things to fix, and it's mid-process right now. It's kind of waiting to see about content. But it's like, because I had all these designs figured out, I had the interactions figured out, is more or less, can I do it in Webflow with what I know? So, and this is what I was talking about, like this anchor system is what I did before. What I did before my own site. So you can see kind of how it cross-pollinated, but like when I did this, I didn't know about the power of using grids, like the grid element in Webflow, which again, ever have any doubt, use it. Because when it comes to responsive, like if you're trying to control the order, like let's say you have something on desktop that goes right, it's laid out with like text on the left, image on the right, and you want to have the image above the text on mobile, like you want them to stack. Technically, that's, since everything goes left to right, by default, if you use just a standard div, it'll stack text first, image second. And in order to get that reworked, you kind of have to do like a duplicate of like a mobile layout, which my understanding is probably not ideal. Or you could just use a grid and you can manually, where is it? Most of my stuff is using this grid layout. So you can see like the elements. Right now it's on auto. Some of the stuff that's more involved, like the collaborations page, like each of these elements has a manual position. So it's very, so to create this space, I just rebuilt this, but I have a problem with some of these lines being too long because this text is long compared to the image. But I'm able to just like, so for some of these ones down below, I'm able to just start on the fourth column. Or if I want to change it up, I can do like the second column. Or I can make this organic and have it, I can have larger images and smaller images and make like a full grid out of it. Something I'm definitely thinking about. Like I think this is great as like a utilitarian way of viewing content, but it doesn't do a great job like showing the breadth of some of it. Like some of the RE stuff, there's a lot that needs to go in here still. That's just like kind of placeholder content. And even like the stuff with Ash, there's so much more. But I like right now, to get this to work, it's kind of cumbersome. Like each of these is pulling an image, it's linked with other light boxes. So the media is for the light box, the background image is for the div. And that's, so if you use Webflow and you tie into the Cms collections, I don't know why, it was a huge source of pain, but like if you use the image element, it would be blurry on mobile. Even desktop, actually. I think it was all across the board. I don't know what it was. It was under very certain conditions. I don't know if it was like because I was using percentages, what it was. Like if you used like, I can't remember the shortcut for like you can toggle responsive images or not. So it would scale down images based on a certain parameter, but then it needed to be bigger than what it was making them scale down to. So then it was upsizing images needlessly. I don't know, and I think background images is probably better for what I want. Like you can easily inspect and just pull those. I think you can actually. That's not true. So a lot of things like that, and then like another random. So background images is one. I have a list of things that I wrote down of like shit I wish I learned. I think it's, so the image being blurry was a lot with like carousels. There's a lot, like they don't have carousels dialed in that are powered by the CMS. These all are. And there's a lot of conditional things baked into this. So for each of these elements, like you kind of create you create one element, which is item index. I don't know why it's called that, but that's what it's called. So you create this, and then it'll pull everything within that database. So everything from our originals, that's the source of everything. It's going to display it in based on order, smallest to largest. And you can create all sorts of parameters, like whether featured switches on. You can create multiple. So if it's smallest to largest and the like filter is set. But like for actually, no. I keep on getting thrown off because I'm used to these indicators being on the image, but I like them as a design element, so they're off there. But you'll notice I need a replacement for it. But so this slider nav is conditional visibility. So there will be no indicator, the indicator won't show up unless the 10th image is set in the carousel. So that's, I guess, any of these. Number 10. And that kind of ties into my second thing of like, why is the 10th image set? Well, another bug with Webflow that drove me crazy. I found it through some forum posts. Like, I don't think anyone really talked about a solve for it. I actually probably need to post about it. So CMS Powered Carousels is something in how it computes the width. Like, each of these images are like off to the side. Like, you can see the next sliders to the side. So it creates this long horizontal space, but when it's pulling from the CMS, it computes the width before it actually populates it. It's something along those lines. I don't know exactly, don't quote me. It's something about the incorrect width being calculated. So as a fix and a test that I didn't even think would work, if I have one image, I'm turning the carousel off entirely. Like the previous next is gone, this indicator is gone. That's not a problem. But if I have two images, it would have 1, 2, and 10 would show. It's not technically the 10th, it could have been the 3rd. It was just one additional empty frame on all these carousels. So as a test, it was like, well, let's just max it out full width to the 10th, because that would technically be this one, which would be the furthest. So then it knows what the max width is, and it can kind of compute that, so it doesn't inject an extra slide to compensate for some random space it's calculating. I don't know. That's the best. It's kind of getting a little foggy now to the edibles, but that's the way I've come to understand it. So if you have a CMS powered slider, use background images, and okay, so the other part, sorry, that's kind of important, is if you use conditional visibility on a CMS powered slider. I know it's kind of a lot, because like if you don't set the second image, then this is gone, so that width is gone. So it becomes this variable width thing. So it's kind of a handful. But that was super helpful. When in doubt, use grids. Careful when you duplicate div classes. So if you have a text class here, you can click on this and you go duplicate class. I don't know what's going on there, but I've had phantom attributes on classes where there was no reason for, like, it would inherit. So like when you see orange, that means it's inheriting it from somewhere else. Or it's not. Like if you create a combo class, all this stuff will turn orange because it's inheriting it from the base class. If you then change the values, it's changing the values of the combo class. If you don't know CSS or Webflow, this is probably all very confusing, but like I would duplicate a class. It wasn't a combo class. I was on the desktop and it would say it's inheriting something from the desktop, which there shouldn't be anything. I would try and reset it and it wouldn't reset. So sometimes duplicating again worked, and I can't figure out what caused it to happen, but I would just like start moving something and it would be different. Like it would be tied to something else. I'd make the modifications on whatever the original one it was duplicated off of, and it would change the duplicate, which was technically a different class. I don't know. It's probably something in all like the back end magic that they do. Combo classes in general, it's a great way to keep things consistent and flexible and have things modify. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Called it, sorry. Yeah, combo classes can be really dangerous because you try and like bend things in to fit, but then you find like you're in this like tug of war match, like you change it and you forget that you have a different set of attributes with a different combo class, where it really just becomes kind of a mindfuck and it's not really worth it. I started creating just long specific titles. Like this should be C. I don't know why it's originals copy. Yeah, like you try and create a system for it. Like I try and do like what type of, is it type, container, grid. So you'll see like G, C, or T, and or B for button. That's the other one. But the class names will get long, like C collabs hero media. I used to create something called like C hero media combo class of collabs. And it just became like you bounce between pages, like you can't see a bird's eye view of how everything's being affected. So you think you're fixing it one place and it just fucks something else up entirely. So unless you can be really specific about like, there's ways to do it. It's just be ready for a mindfuck if you're gonna do it. I guess that's all I'll say. Oh, and for some reason, like blurs on mobile just don't translate. Like in the preview, they look good. Because all my titles, I don't know if they still do. I think they do on the homepage. They have a very subtle blur on them of 0.03 view width. But I have to dump it on mobile because that 0.03 view width calculated, I don't know if it's iOS, what it is, but it's like 10 times blurry. It's like it has like a 1 pixel blur, which is very frustrating because I think like having like a very soft blur, like it goes into like the idea of like film and kind of like the softness I like to bring into my images. It goes into like print, like nothing's razor sharp in print. So you can see there's kind of like just a little softness to it. And I had it in a lot of places, and then it was like, okay, it's set to view width, so it should scale. Like the type's view width, the effects view width, in theory, it should be okay throughout all the different viewports. And it would be in here. It would look kind of nice. And then you just open it up and pull it up on your phone, and it's just like, it looks like dog shit. It's like, I don't know. Looks like an animation got stuck. It's really strange. So if anyone knows what the fuck that's about, I would love to know because I think I like the crisp lines, but I think my style is more in the realm of like editorial / cinematic. So if I can do these little things like add it back on here, I probably wouldn't do it on text this small. It's kind of a dangerous game. Wouldn't do it to the content. I thought about doing it to like blurring the edges a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know the computational risk of doing that. But yeah, I think I might call it there as a first Webflow stream. I hope that was helpful. It's a lot of rambling again, and I keep talking about doing videos that are very pointed, but I've got a long list of things to do. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Because it needs to get done, it's just there's not enough time in the day. Oh, does it move? It moves on the stream. Yeah, never know. But yeah, thank you again for all the support on the site. Like, it's still crazy to me, the response it's gotten, being what I see as a work in progress. Something that lacks a lot of bells and whistles, but I don't know. It's been fun kind of going through it. I hope it could be a cautionary tale, or I don't know. I don't know, some sort of insight into like how this shit works. Because I think Webflow was kind of, I don't know, for me and my own brand, and knowing that I need to have like something I can update all the time and can be kind of as expressive as I want. Like, hacking apart a Squarespace template is just, I used to spend, I had like 2,000 lines of code on my last Squarespace based portfolio. And it was terrible. So this has been a powerful tool for me to kind of be independent and do my own thing. I think there's always going to be markets for developers and doing more advanced stuff, but some of this base level stuff, I see a ton of value in it. I feel like this is the future of interactive design in a lot of ways. I don't know if designers are going to be expected to like develop to this degree, and like how that would change processes. Like, I'm still figuring out how it changes mine, but I don't know. It's fun. But yeah, I'll be back with another stream for Ari's site post-launch, kind of going through some of the process of that. And yeah, if there's anything you feel like I left out, just feel free to leave comments. Appreciate all the comments, people showing up today. Flattered that that people would take the time to listen to me ramble. But yeah, like again, like I was saying, like I've done all photo streams to this point. I can't really show collaboration stuff unless I get sign off. And maybe I can have that happen in time, but not yet. I think I have enough to work on with my stuff. I have like the photo book. I might start working on some layouts for that. Working through the Stream Deck. Working through, I don't know, all sorts of stuff that's not photo related. I mean, there's the whole video, like getting through DaVinci, some of the clips I did last time. Actually, if you were on the last stream, I was pissed because I recorded all of my video at 30 frames per second, and I probably, it's not advised, but able to slow that clip down a good bit. It's a little jumpy, and I think it does like this interpolation between frames, so it kind of blends it, but it doesn't look that bad. I don't know. I posted it on the gram, and it was kind of okay. I don't know. Video is going to be a big thing. And then if I get back into After Effects and doing a lot of like motion and type design and that sort of stuff, there's a lot of opportunities. Like this little thing, simple GIF I made, but like those little accents and like hover states and shit like that, I want to start like dropping those in here. So those should be coming soon. Poggers, we are live. Yeah, I was just about to pop off. Unless you got any extra questions, I can stick around. I don't really have anything going today. It's just kind of working on the next collaboration with Ari. That's sort of kicking off design ideation. Are you on Twitch? I have an account, but I don't know. I'd be curious to get feedback on, because it seems like Twitch is becoming more popular. Like I thought more people have YouTube accounts, so, and are familiar with YouTube. So getting them on YouTube seems more like a, oh no. These pads get stuck on here. Yeah, that's fun. Crooked glasses now. Yeah, that's not even gonna stay. crooked glasses. Long story short, I thought Twitch was more niche for gaming, but it's turning out to not be that. So there's Streamlabs can do multiple platforms. You have to pay for it. If there's enough of I might try it out for like a month or two and kind of see what happens and whether like that's something of value. Not working right now. I'm trying to kind of cut costs and not work as long as possible so I can keep doing this kind of shit. And that's where I have like the Patreon or like the Streamlabs donation thing. Like, I don't like asking for handouts, but if people want to help out and find this valuable, like I'm all for making this more of a priority. Like, I'm trying to work for other people as little as possible. Not that I don't like working for people, but I don't know. It's more fun when you can kind of do your own shit. I think that's the dream of everyone. So I don't think I'm alone with that. But yeah, I guess no other questions. So I'm going to try and be back again this week. Maybe Wednesday? Yeah, and I don't know if like it sends out notifications when I schedule streams, but I'm trying to figure out a system of promoting it to the social channels so people know. Definitely subscribe wherever the fuck that is. I know emails go out when I go live for that, but the problem is there's no heads up on it, which is kind of a bummer. So that's where I have to rely on the social channels. I just throw together a shitty Instagram story and Twitter post. But yeah, if there's anything you guys want to see, I'd love to do just like a feedback session. Like if there's anything you want to get like an extra set of eyes on, love to do it. That's always fun. So yeah, I'll be back, and I feel like I always try to think of something meaningful to sign off with, but I just don't know. Oh, thanks for the stream. I was thinking about making the switch to Webflow, so your insights are interesting. Yeah, I mean, definitely feel free to ping me with questions. I feel like I've been practically a Webflow salesman. I just, like, maybe it's because I took the plunge and I feel like I want to have other, like, not necessarily misery loves company, but, other people can struggle with the same things I am. But, like, compared to the Squarespaces and any of like the templated sites, like Sempless or Wix or whatever the fuck, like I don't know who else is making GoDaddy. All these people are making like broader templates, but you then have to hack them apart, which is fine. You can definitely do it, but being able to just build it from scratch, like, okay, I know exactly like from like the div level, and I don't know. You can do it much more easily from scratch than you can from modifying a template. It would be my sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, if there's a need for kind of follow-up streams to this, like diving deeper into something specific on Webflow, again, probably better in like a pointed video. So like if you search for like how do you do CMS powered sliders in Webflow without an extra slide, like I can probably help out with that. I don't want to I don't want to be too prescriptive on like explaining what I did and like this is exactly what you do to duplicate it. Like you can clone projects on Webflow, so people can post to a gallery and then you can clone it. So you can basically go into the code, like copy everything and then paste it into your project. And I don't really want to do that, but I do want to help out and kind of show what's possible for people to kind of do their own shit. So yeah, I'll just commit to it now. Wednesday, I'll be back, and I don't know what the fuck it'll be, kind of see what I have going on that week, but yeah. Thank you again, everyone.